All right, we are in the live stream. Just Mr. Jerry will be able to log in. So we have a quorum in the room, so we're good to go.
Thank you. Morning, welcome to the October 19th, 2022 CDYCI board meeting. Welcome all. Present, we have board members Bill Connors, Kristen Swinton, myself, Laura Bauer, Greg Warner, and Samantha Miller Herrera. We have some guests also. Of course, we have Luke Jacobs, Bob Ryan, Mike McLaughlin, Maria Manning, and Deputy Sean
Noonan.
Thank you. Did I miss anything? Dominic to start. And Dominic. Okay. Morning, Dominic. Welcome.
Good morning.
Okay, we have a forum, so we'll go right into your introduction. New facility director Dominic Ruggieri, welcome. And we're happy that you can join us. I know you're on a training. Thank you for coming in today.
No, I appreciate it.
We're excited to have Dom on board after an extensive and nationwide search. Berkshire hired Dom to replace Joe Mancini, who led the facility over the past couple of years. So we're excited to have Dom on board. He's someone who has extensive experience in managing facilities. He's already sort of taken the reins and sort of made some positive changes. It's like moving a ship, changing the culture of the facility. So Joe started to move the rudder, and now that Dom's at the helm, I think things are going to be even stronger. So Dom, do you want to say a few words about your experience and background and what's going on at the facility?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I started back in 1989 in this field. I got all my training in Rikers Island. I've been in DFY, or now OCFS, for a number of years. I got out, went the private route. I actually worked under Rick Riccio at St. Anne's for a while, for doing some stuff for him. And I've been most recently leaving Equinox here in Albany, where I was a director of residential services for the company under Kathy Fletcher. So it's kind of coming back full circle to what I've done my whole career. I think things are moving positive. As you know, when you go into anywhere and you start implementing change and holding people accountable, you're going to ruffle some feathers. And I'm trying to do that as easy as possible, but in my opinion, I don't care about ruffling feathers. My job is to clean that place up and get it running the way it's supposed to be. We're having some staffing issues, but we're hiring a lot right now, which is good. We've had a good steady influx of applications. Right now, you've got the culture change of about 80% are on board with what I'm trying to do and change. And you got a handful that are, going to give you the bumps in the road, but they're either going to have to get on the bus or get off. That's kind of where I'm at. I've got a very good rapport with the supervisors. They know what I expect. They know where I want to be in the next 3 months. I've given it a 3-month timetable. Luke and Mark have been very supportive, and Stacy also. So I think we're going in a great direction. I think it's positive. It's just going to take a little bit, and we're trying to get a lot of things corrected that should have been addressed.
Great. Well, thanks for that summary of sort of taking the reins. And Dom has requested, if you don't mind, to move up the facility update to the beginning of the agenda, and then also talk about the site visit. Right. Yep. So yeah, if you and Luke want to get started on the facility update, and then talk about the site visit and the new uniforms.
Sure. As one we'll see if it's what we don't see. We identify some areas of this.
Hey, can you guys online hear Luke?
Very not much. It's very hard.
Challenging.
talk this way.
Yeah,
A little
click out
louder.
that way. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
There
I
you
think
go.
Okay, all right. So we had a walkthrough of our facility and they identified some concerns. Some that have been ongoing that we are continuing to work on, particularly with our education. Our teachers have, since COVID, have had an issue in the classroom. We have much larger youth. They're concerned about staff and safety in the classroom. However, we do have the required number of staff in the classroom. We have said that we are going to be teaching every day. Dominic is assuring that every day our kids are going to school in the classroom. But we are continuing to work.
Sub-county teachers?
Yes, they are separate, and we're continuing to work with South County because we want our teachers to feel safe and understand. And then be okay. Some other issues that were identified were some mechanical issues with their doors. I pulled security come on Monday. This is about the fourth time they've come in the past 2 months to fix their doors. They are coming again today to add some new store doors, particularly our very front doors for our lobby.
We can't hear, guys.
Our back door in our kitchen. And these are old doors that are, we had hoped would last to the renovation. It would be replaced, it would be good. We're gonna have to assess, and they're gonna assess today. We can't wait and we may need to replace the back door. Fully. And we'll do that. We need to for security. And the front doors, they're gonna add components today that they said will fix the buildings. They're just not in the best shape and working with staff to make sure that we can have security, that they are making sure that things are closed. But they don't close.
Were they part of the renovation plan anyway?
They are.
So.
They
we're gonna
will
have to
all
do
be,
that.
they will all be replaced, but we may have to replace it sooner than going to the bid, and we'll let you know. And we continue to work. The other thing we talked about, master bathrooms, they're not in good shape. We have done some painting, with some special paint to try to get them to be at least a little okay, but they're not in the best shape and still. First for the past months and we have not been finding. We did bring in a service that will be beating them. We're going to bring that service in more just to make sure that we maintain. I do have some individual from Berkshire's main campus coming in once a week. But we need to get the students. So then we're going to contact out to get them. Get somebody in there to make sure that it's maintained. It's just that it's been so long that they need to be replaced. Will be done.
So I'm trying to remember what descriptor OCFS used to describe the condition of the bathrooms. I think it was something like abysmal.
And I went there, I went fully and did my own tour. The walls are not, you know, I mean, there's not, it looks really bad as far as I brought my vice president of facilities and we looked at it, he said safety wise, it's not safe. Thank the kids, but it doesn't look good for all of it. And it doesn't engender any pride or ownership with our kids when they're going with this. They don't really enjoy it.
So you have a service coming in a couple
They came
times a
in.
week?
Yes, they can, yep.
Okay. And like regular sanitation in the bathrooms, how's that being managed?
So what we, my vice president of facility has recommended, yes, some safe chemical sprays that we're going to be utilizing every time we come out of the shower, we spray down the shower. It's not a fix, but it's gonna be right there to take care of the mildew, the soap scum right away. So we're gonna do that for every shower.
Okay.
And that's what we're gonna be having into our, these kids to do with the chemicals, because they're not normal machines.
And is there daily cleaning of the
So
bathrooms?
the night staff, overnight staff, Don has implemented that they are looking at the bathroom in the early morning hours. And kids are sleeping, going in and getting there, doing their activity, but they're getting there, cleaning it, to make sure it's good, and staff are going in after every kid is out, just to make sure that they can get out what they can. I mean, in the past, when we had more staff, it's what we do in the shorts. Weekends and things that we do things during the day, it takes more staff. Be able to supervise that.
Well, thanks for the update. OCFS did have a meeting with facility staff on Friday to go over the deficiencies discovered during the walkthrough, and they're going to get a letter just articulating the findings from the inspection. And then they've already, Berkshire will submit to OCFS a written response to that. They've already had sort of verbally communicated their responses and the steps that they're taking to mitigate the things that were discovered, including the doors and the sanitation and the teachers and things like that. So, you know, difficult times all around. And a lot of this has to do with the staffing challenges. And it's not unique to our facility, just coming out of COVID. The state agencies have been given the direction to start enforcing the regulations as they would normally. So when they do that in a facility that is still short-staffed, these are the kinds of things that come about. So that's the update on that. And one of the things that Dom suggested when he first came on board to, I think, to generate some esprit de corps among the staff was to have staff uniforms. So Dom or Luke, do you want to talk about that concept?
So what we, Dominic brought up, we'd like to see staff uniforms. OCFS also brought it up. Our camera system is very antiquated. We look at our cameras and we work for our housing and live. It's sometimes hard to put the staff. We're bringing very young staff into our facility. And so uniforms across the state are utilized in all the other potential sales to bring in staff from. And so we would like to move forward with that. Our staff are very hard. I didn't know we will work with our union. There will be questions about it, but we have developed a preliminary plan of what it would look like. We're looking at about $115 per person to different uniforms. So that would put you right now with about the staff we have on board right now, about $6,300. When we're looking at next year, I'm going to post some additional staff for. We'll see in the budget. Yes.
Question on uniform, just talking about polo shirts or?
We're talking about polo shirts. Yes.
All right.
Yes, we're talking about polo shirts and long sleeve shirts. So that they can, depending on temperature, utilize outside things like that. Next year, when we are looking to increase our staffing along with a 40% just average turnover rate at about 11,500 a year. Our estimation, once we are ongoing, we'll have to share this every year, turnover are about $85.
So for those on the phone, it's going to be about $8,500 annually as an ongoing cost.
Yes,
Right.
next year's going to be expensive. You're going to start off about 11,000.
Okay. Great.
And that's, I'm trying to do worst case scenario.
So I've given Berkshire authorization to proceed with the purchase. We have plenty of room in our budget because the budget that we presented included staffing scenario that included the full staffing. We're not spending anywhere near that amount of money. So we have plenty of room in the budget there.
So you're gonna purchase all the shirts, keep them in hand, and give the staff as you hire them?
So staff are going to, when they come on, order their shirt based on their sizes, because in the past we had bought bulk, but then we ended up with 5,000 smalls. And it was a waste of money. So we're going to, it's going to be more cost efficient with one at a time, staff one. And we are going to also try to open up an employee store, which staff will want to purchase additional uniforms for themselves before they're re-up every year.
Do you have a contract with a vendor or are you? How you
We
find
do.
them?
Berkshire has a vendor that we utilize for all of our apparel. And so we utilize. And we have a good relationship with them, so we have much better deal.
I'm surprised that we didn't have uniforms before for some time.
We're going to move them into
No, that's-
and obviously we're going to. A little bit of negotiations like that. But I think that we can work with
Right.
Female intake. I see you have a female in there. Are we ready to open up female intake officially?
And Dominic, can you talk about female intake? Are we set to staff the B dorm?
Yeah, we're fine for B dorm. I've actually opened it up to our 4 contracted counties in the last couple of weeks to kind of feel it out to see what the influx would be. We've got the 3 beds. We've been averaging 2 out of 3 full in the last couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Our facility is.
Well, it took a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, staffing is still hard, but Dominic is getting before very massive bid, which is going to affect positively our schedule longer. In the short run, it's going to be hard because not all staff are going to get just along. And some staff may step away because of that, but in the long run, it's going to set itself with a much better staff facility. Currently, particularly which we're offering incentives for staff to work overtime. And it has been helping. When you're able to raise your margin using your staff is.
Quick question.
Yes,
Staffing, are the shifts 8 hours or 12 hours and 3 days?
5 days, 8 hours.
5 days, 8 hours.
Yes, 5 days, 8 hours. And you develop the schedule for the day that we present. They are.
Yeah, the master bid is key because right now we're off balance pretty bad to one side of the week where we're scrambling for staffing on the other side. So once this gets into place, we'll be fine with looking at the, 5 days a week. We eliminated the 4 days. We eliminated the mid shifts. We got them on a Sunday, Monday, Friday, Saturday, past days. Everything should balance. And we've been working, with Lisa and Patrick to get all that out in the last week. So the bid is coming up on the 26th, which will be a big help.
And I will say with our bids, some things that we've done that are a little different in time for training, staffing, these things that were just done on the fly in the past. And when we 5 years ago, we had staff who've been there for 20 years, it wasn't necessary, but we have almost staff. So it's going to be time for training, time for staffing, it's time for supervision, building.
Do we provide food for staff since they can't leave?
Staff bring in their own food.
Oh, they bring in their own lunch.
Yes, I mean, they could, we can have it in our contract so they can give them their. The staff typically bring their own food.
And Dom's buys pizzas.
We do,
Staff.
been doing a lot of dinners for staff.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got the double time approved, which is huge from Brian and Stacy. Luke really pushed it. We've got to get through this hump where we got everybody waiting to come in the door. I'm trying to get people trained properly. The supervisors, I'm getting them up to speed on what we need. But like Mark said, sometimes you got to buy a little dinner. So, I did have a dinner for the staff the other day, pizza and some wings as an appreciation.
So the
Dominic, this
financial-
is Maura Manning from Albany County. So I just want to be clear, you are open to female beds at this point in time?
You are more, yes.
Okay, I'm having difficulty hearing you, Luke, so.
Yes, I'm
Um,
sorry.
You want to sit next to me?
You want me to sit next to you?
Oh, yes.
Aw.
See,
And
now
I-
you got them moving, Mark.
And Dominic, did you advise our adolescent services unit at Family Court?
Yes, the Albany Family Court does know.
Okay, thank you.
They are aware.
All of our
I
four counties,
spoke to
all
all
four
the
counties.
judges, actually. The clerk came with the judge from Albany County, and I'm on the phone with them all the time. But the other judges have already been in our 4 contracted counties, and they are aware that we're going to be looking to fill those female beds. We've been averaging right now, like I said, 2 out of 3 a week. We've gotten a Dutchess County girl in there and a Oneida County girl in the last couple weeks, but they've already moved on and transitioned.
Our probation departments now.
So I'll send around that
Sounds
email.
like it's news to Schenectady.
Yeah, I'll send around
Judges
an-
No,
might-
we've had
Judges
a
might-
Schenectady girl. We had a Schenectady girl.
You did, but we were told it was
You are a super secret first experiment.
right.
Yeah.
And I was told not
And
to
it worked
tell
out
people.
well.
And there was
Yes.
a whole period of don't answer the phone because they want us to move
It
her.
worked, but it worked. It worked.
I was instructed not to answer my phone.
I will
if
say
you're
we are
sure.
live streaming right now. So
But like
I will
official,
send out,
like-
yeah, I'll send out the
Okay.
official communication to the larger stakeholder group that includes the sheriffs and the probation officers and those folks.
Because our police departments are also nervous. They're not making arrests because they don't want to have to not be, because of the lack of bets, they're just not making arrests on female cases.
There are only 3 female beds.
I know.
So,
So maybe don't tell everyone.
So
no,
maybe,
no, I mean, we want to utilize them. We
No.
want to protect.
No,
you.
but, okay.
We could keep it as a soft launch, So there is a precedent, well, I mean, there is a precedent for other facilities. Now, we want to serve the need out there, and that might not be limited to our 4 counties. But other facilities on the public facing website, they will always list like their female dorm, for example, as being full or no beds available. Because their beds are essentially being reserved for their own county or for the 4 counties. So that's something that we can consider. I will say that OCFS really doesn't like facilities to do that. Right now, we have a female from Dutchess County in there, I believe. But that's something that we can consider as a policy decision to maintain those 3 beds for the 4 counties. Or we can just simply ask OCFS to just list closed and
So,
be on a case by case
and I
basis.
think that's important, talking about OCFS. So we have, our 24th bed is right outside the pod. Which we have typically utilized for female or male. However, SCOC has asked us, well, told us that we need to have a staff position outside of that door directly to utilize that door, to utilize that room in the future. We cannot utilize that room right now. We don't have the staffing, because we're staffing the dorms. So we have had to have asked OCFS to change the total capacity of 23 on the website. Now, obviously, the 4 counties, we need to work together to try to figure something out. We're happy to work because that room is there.
Which
But,
one was that?
Room 70.
No, I'm sorry, for. is
Yeah,
that a-
A70 cannot be used anymore.
Unless we have staff.
Okay,
So just so everyone understands, on the website, you won't see that, but it is.
And that's separate from the pod.
It's right across the way from the pods. So in the past, we've had the pod. Person in the pod has been able to view it, and then we've had checks that they want someone positioned directly outside the door.
Any other?
And-
Sorry, go ahead.
Anything else, Dominic?
Yeah, and going back to the girls, just so we can be very clear. I am giving precedent to the 4 contracted counties. So the girl that's in there from Dutchess, like I told Jim the other day from Dutchess, if I end up getting 3 girls from Albany and Rensselaer area, you got to move her. It's that simple. So I think everybody has the picture with the girls. I know it's tough getting bed for the girls. It really is. But we're going to really look at that on a case by case basis. And I keep Luke informed on that as we get them coming in, and Mark, of course.
Yes.
Another element that I wanted to chat about of the facility update is the change in policy of transporting youth to routine appointments outside the facility. So due to, the ongoing staffing shortage and the challenges maintaining appropriate staffing ratio to maintain safety in the facility, Dom has sent an email out saying that the counties or the sheriff's offices would be responsible to transport youth to routine medical appointments. Berkshire will still transport youth to, in emergency situations. There's an acute crisis situation. But I know Moira Manning from Albany County had a question about that policy. So before Dom leaves the call, I wanted to just have that conversation in case there are any additional questions.
Thank you, Mark. And it really is a challenge. I mean, not only is Berkshire short staff, I have over 33 vacancies currently, and I don't have the manpower that would be able to provide transportation for the JDs up at secure detention for medical appointments. So I think that's something that we really need to review the contract. And, we are putting the children in your care, and that would include medical appointments, I strongly feel. I am consulting with our legal department, but I would, Mark, like a copy of that contract, since Albany County really doesn't hold the contract, that CDYCI does, and review it much more clearly and make an addendum if needed.
Okay, thanks for the input, Moira. I'll send you that copy of the contract. The contract, just for everyone's information, simply states that Berkshire is responsible, needs to have a car and needs to take youth and transport them on an emergency basis. But it doesn't say anything specifically about routine medical appointments. The sheriff's office, the home county sheriff, the AOs and JOs are technically in custody of the sheriff, so they typically handle the court transportation back and forth. Some sheriff's offices have also extended that transportation service to the routine and scheduled medical appointments under that provision as well. But there's really no hard and fast rule or model or template that regulatory agencies require in terms of youth transportation outside of the city. You just need a couple of ingredients. You need 2 people that are trained and to be able to transport youth in that type of way.
Have we always transported for routine
So,
appointments?
In the past, our facility has, I will note that we are the only facility of the 6 that does any transporting. It is
When I first started, I feel like not all facilities did.
all the other 5 facilities have the sheriff department and county boards and do the transports for all of them, except for emergency appointments, which they go usually through 911 instead of staff.
In all my dealings in all the facilities I've been at, it's always been put back on the county for non-emergency routine medical appointments. The problem that I'm having is I can't take 2 people off the floor to go do a routine dental appointment or a physical or something like that. And I'm short as it is. And now I'm out of ratio and I got OCF asking me, well, where are the staff? So that is why this email went out and I put it as best that I could to everybody. And I understand Albany County's, position, absolutely. But I have used alternative sheriff's departments, Schenectady, Rensselaer, whoever. Now, do they like doing it? No, it's not our kid. However, that's where I think we've got to bridge a gap because I've never had to have to do transports for non-routine. And it's just not feasible at this point.
And the cost to us, if we'll be at the handle of those ends up absorbent, I'm sure. Does it always go back to Albany County, or is it the individual county that's housing the
County of origin.
the county of origin? Yes. And they're pushing back on it now, or they don't feel as if they,
Well, some of our counties legitimately are asking questions about the policy because it certainly adds a burden to their operations.
Right.
So, like Dom was saying, the staffing issue, not being able to maintain ratio by taking 2 staff out to make the transport is really the safety consideration that is
Yes.
driving
Propagated.
that is driving the request. I think once we get fully staffed and we looked at the staffing ratio planning last time, they staff up to the 1.6 ratio, there'll be enough flexibility in that to consider that. In addition, as Moira, foreshadowed, we do review the contract with Berkshire Farm annually. And certainly it's something that we can take a look at in the contract or changing the contractual obligations if there's consensus among the counties to do that.
Now, I will say as a solution, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add, again, when we place children in foster care or any, care of the county, the voluntary agency provides all of that service to the children as we're paying for it. The other piece is, I think, Mark, as you had identified, your staff are trained differently than a caseworker would be. And we have currently the juvenile that is actually pending JD charges from an assault that occurred at the facility. And I don't feel comfortable having my caseworker transport the child. So I think it really does need to be reviewed. And Dominic, if you don't have my email, because I never received any type of correspondence related to the change in this policy.
Yes, that'll be fine. I can definitely get that and get that out too. And the other thing that I'm looking at as a solution is this: since we got our upcoming budget coming up and the board has to look at that, I have also had transport teams in the past where I have guys specifically set for transports. However, if there's no transports, then they go on the floor, obviously, in ratio. That is a solution that we can look at. That's a more of a cost. We're adding 2 specific staff, but me being away this week, unfortunately, I haven't had time to sit and talk to Luke about that.
I think, we're going we're looking very closely at all the things we need in our budget to effectively provide for the youth. We've discovered a lot of things this year, directly we want to go to make the facility what we want it to be. And so we will be presenting the budget to the board so you can see, and then I'll have justifications for where we want to go with different positions.
Okay, quite a facility report.
Yes.
Three pages of notes, man.
All right,
We'll try to make it less next time.
No.
That's good.
As long as you want, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Dom.
Yeah, no problem. Anybody has any concerns, any questions, please feel free to email me directly. I've worked with many of boards and I'm looking forward to working with all of you closely.
Thank you. Enjoy your training.
Yes, it's very good, actually. It's a very good training.
Thank you.
Take care.
Position is also helpful. Can-do attitude. I
Yeah.
like that now. Thank you.
We'll do it.
Yeah. I just want to note that board members Barbara Morrow and Scott Vendette joined us since we took the role. Good morning. All right, we'll go back to our agenda then and start with or go to item number 3, and that's the minutes from the July meeting.
So just a real note here, it was mentioned to me by Craig Warner that on the last page of the next CDYCI board meeting, the wrong date is in there, so that will be corrected when.
So it should read
It
December.
should read
21st.
December. No, it should read today, because this was the old minute.
Oh, right, you're right.
This should be October 19th
October
versus
9th.
September 23rd.
Which is why I called you, Mark, I think. For
Yeah.
So that will be changed upon your approval.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other corrections or observations, anything on the minutes? All right, do I have a motion to accept the minutes? Do I have a second? I'll second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Next item is number 4, and that's the financial statement. That's your memo 22-20.
Yeah, the financial statements are presented here. The estimated total expenses for SD through September are about $1.6 million, and the estimated expenses for specialized secure was about $2.5 million. Of note, we have not received Berkshire's statements of actual expenses for operations since June. They've had another transition of their finance department. So that has cascading impacts on a variety of issues, not just getting our financial reports back, but also reporting and setting the rate. So right now, we're still working with Berkshire to present the final Q2 financials and set the Q2 rate. So I hope that will be completed before the end of this year, but it looks like we won't be able to set the Q3 rate or bill before the end of this calendar year. And that again delays us paying Berkshire because we don't pay Berkshire until we get paid by counties. So kind of puts a crunch on everything not to be able to get the financials in a timely fashion. So that's where we stand through September 30th.
Any questions from Mark? A motion to accept? Thank you. Kristen, second. Greg, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. The next item is appointment of a nominating committee. All board officer positions are up at the end of this year, so we need to appoint a nominating chair at least, and they will present the slate at the December meeting. And we'll need to do that right now. Like the volunteer, I'd like to call on Barbara with your.
I could do it.
Good, thank you so much. All right, we will then appoint Barbara to be the nominating chair. And I need a motion to proceed. Thank you. Second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Barbara.
Yep.
All right, next, item number 6 is the resolution of the 2022 lease extension that you have on 22-22.
So the board action is adopting the resolution that extends our lease agreement with Albany County through 2044. The reason for this is that the leasehold interest of CDYCI needs to be at least as long as the financing term for the DASNY bonds for the facility improvement project. This resolution references the Second Amendment to the lease agreement, because as you may recall, back in June, we had a special meeting to pass the First Amendment to the lease, and that extended the lease agreement through 2039. That turned out to be not quite long enough, and there was also a problem that DASNY identified with the language in that resolution or lease extension. Albany County did pass a resolution extending the lease on their end through 2044 for CDYCI at its October 11th meeting, and this will just, finalize that ratification, or at least authorize us to sign adopt the resolution and extend the lease term.
Any
Mark?
questions?
Could I have,
Yep.
Go ahead, Barbara.
could we just have the date to which it's extended in the resolution? The memo has, says to extend it for 5 years, but it doesn't actually have that end date that you just gave us verbally.
On page 3 of the resolution, section 2,
Okay,
has the changes in terms. So it says the lease amendment, the First Amendment lease was expired on December 31st, 2039, and the term of the Second Amendment shall extend to the later date of December 31st, 2024. Is that sufficient?
no, I see that. I just meant like how this would be presented in the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Just the opening sentence in the minutes is we extended it until.
Yeah,
blank
okay.
date. That's all.
That's
Our
fine.
agenda item on the.
When I take the memorandum, I'll change the language to just have the date reflected. That's what you're asking?
Yes,
Any other questions or information needed here? Okay, then all right, need a motion to accept the lease extension resolution, which will be till December 31st, 2044. Thank you, Bill. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is the RGH capital project update, and that's your memo 22-23.
And before, so I don't forget, Samantha, don't leave before signing this resolution. Get it, make it official.
No, I guess I.
All right, capital project update. So the bid package was released on Friday, October 7th for the facility improvement project. The bids are due back on November 3rd. If there are no, significant amendments but there might be an extension of up to a week, which is sort of factored into all the other cascading approvals that we would need for the project. A pre-bid site meeting happened on Monday. We had a good cross-section of probably subprime contractors there. There's likely going to be an additional site visit from prospective bidders next week in coordination with Albany County's procurement office. We are in conversation with the Dormitory Authority and Albany County about timing. And so it's, kind of hard to schedule closing as you approach the holiday season. So the Dormitory Authority, and I think there's consensus, and I'll confirm this with Albany County today, that Albany County can do the contract awards conditioned upon the DASNY financing happening. So in other words, DASNY closing doesn't actually have to happen prior to Albany County issuing the contract awards to the project. So just to keep us moving forward, that's one of the considerations. Berkshire has requested, and this is a change, that happened the week before the bid package went out. Luke had mentioned deficiencies in the existing security camera system. And we're in conversations with their existing vendor and Albany County Procurement to figure out a way where we can accelerate the camera replacement project. Originally, the camera replacement project wasn't going to start until phase 2, which is after all the new construction happens. But since there's existing deficiencies, we're just figuring out a way to accelerate that process. To me, what it looks like is that we can just purchase off a state contract the new cameras. We can make them work with the existing system. We will just take a patchwork approach. We'll be able to reuse those cameras once new wires are installed. So I need to get with you, Luke, and your contractor in Albany County to have a conversation about how we're going to do the first step, because it's been really muddled in the back and forth between the architects. So let's me and I'll take it offline and figure it out. So we're doing that because obviously not having a good security system, camera system where you can't even tell who's a staff member, who's a kid, is very problematic. DASNY, we had a meeting yesterday. They've been engaged again to handle the FF&E procurement, so the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. And they may also be rolled out into securing some of the camera equipment as well with the state contract. They do charge, obviously a fee for that service, but the premium that we get in exchange is that they have a full, architectural design, facility design apparatus. So we won't need to do any additional translating. They'll be able to read spec documents to get exactly what we need. Intermunicipal agreements are being developed by Joe Scott, who's the bond counsel for our project. That will articulate each county's share of the 11% local share and how the counties will pay back Albany County. So once the closing happens, there'll be an account created that Albany County will request reimbursement from the dormitory authority to pay vendor expenses ongoing throughout the entire project term. But on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis, still is yet to be determined, Albany County will have to pay the debt service for the financing. Then the state will reimburse 89% of the debt service. And then the other 3 counties will have to pay their 40% share of the 11%. They're tracking the percents. So that's what this new intermunicipal agreement will articulate specific, and it'll include the actual debt service schedule. The counties have already agreed to this sort of arrangement in the omnibus agreement that was passed in 2020. But this just puts a finer point on those mechanisms and puts an actual number value per month throughout the financing term. There will likely be options for counties to pay their shares. So, for example, Rensselaer and Schenectady shares will be about $360,000. So you don't want to track $360,000 over the course of 20 years. So there'd probably be an option there to figure out a way to pay in lump sum installments or whatever. So that's where we stand at this point with the project. We've done the environmental review. The dormitory authority issued negative declaration. We are in the process of finalizing the stormwater permit paperwork from the town of Colony. And the building permit is also pending from Albany County as they're wrapping up some questions about the smoke exhaust system. So, any questions?
Thank you, Mark. Next, item number 8, and that's facility use.
Yep, facility use chart. You can see it there. The distribution of beds is outlined there. It's good to see the female beds back in use in the facility. We're pretty much full all the time. So the numbers are pretty much 22, 21. So we're pretty much maxed out, and we're in the same boat as every other facility in the state.
I have black and white.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. All right, we have completed item number 9, the site visit, and item number 10, facility operation. Is there any other business? Next meeting is December 21st, 2022. Motion to adjourn, please. Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you, everyone. See you in a couple minutes.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, everyone online.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Barbara.
Thank you. Bye-bye.